Hello everyone, it's Peyton
and Anna, and welcome back to our podcast.
Today we're going to be unfolding motivation and what that means. Today we actually brought notebooks. Last episode we were just really good at remembering our thoughts because it was just like our process and our journey. So now we have notebooks.
Yeah, we were doing some improv practice, if you will. We're multi-talented.
You might have thought we were rambling, but my mom said I look great, so.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about motivation. So I think like a good opener is, what is your definition of motivation? Like your own personal. So if anyone's listening to this, I mean, I know people are listening to this. But
we saw the views. Yeah.
But I want you guys to think about right now how you would define motivation, whether it's like for athletes, has nothing to do with athletics, whether it's cleaning your house, whatever. Think of your definition of motivation, and we're going to be talking about ours today.
Even in work, and then through this, we kind of want you to self-reflect, see how what we're talking about kind of correlates to what you think of motivation and how you can improve your definition as well as further apply, because this is a really important concept, we feel like, going through life. So.
I think it's an important concept, and like people don't really think of it. Like before sitting down doing this, I didn't think of like what I thought motivation was. I was just like, oh, it's like not being lazy.
Yeah.
Like,
gotta put the nose down and start working.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to share your definition first?
Yeah, so kind of what I came up with is what encourages an individual to believe that they will continue to grow and strive to be their best selves.
That was really good. I like how you like made it, like you slimmed it down to like just an individual. I said how you or your mindset reacts to adversity. Okay. So I feel like it's like...
I agree. I also think that we could create like a super definition.
I was going to say that if we combine them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd actually be awesome.
Probably the new Oxford Dictionary definition if Peyton and I get our hands on it.
Yeah, just letting you guys know, we did not Google this. I don't want you to Google your definition.
Nope.
Like, this is just from our brain. Like,
no chat either. I know you guys be using the AI, so chat is not allowed, okay?
So just think about motivation. So let's unfold a little bit our like definition. So read yours again.
Okay, so mine is what encourages an individual to believe that they will continue to grow and strive to be their best selves.
So I think what yours is like, what powers you
I think
your
it's
brain.
What you're focusing on that kind of makes you become the better version of yourself. And I think it also was I was kind of thinking of the goal orientation too, like motivation is the process of reaching those goals and what makes you want to achieve them. So I think that also kind of applies to career, friendships, plans in your life, basically everything. So that's kind of what I was thinking of when I was writing it. And I do think that motivation is really important for an individual to be aware of, and I think that they need to be aware that we are always striving to become our best self. So I think that's what kind of my thought process was in motivation, but yeah.
I actually think it's interesting because I was just thinking about how I kind of brought in the like how motivation is like reflected throughout the world, and you did like in your brain.
Yeah.
So like I said how
adversity.
how you react to adversity, which is like, I know people think motivation is just in your head. It's like, no, it also has to do with your environment, which we'll get into. I actually have notes on that too, but it is like how you react to your environment. So wherever you are does affect like how motivated you are in that moment. So
yeah, and then I think that connects to kind of my mindset part of it. So I think that like genuinely we could have that super definition.
No, seriously,
really
like
fast.
we didn't even plan that. I didn't even know her definition.
In the caption, don't worry.
The super definition we come up with? Okay.
Yeah.
Put
so
that
everyone
in the caption.
can see.
We will be using AI for that though.
Not you guys though. Just us.
Maybe your definition. I want you guys to comment down below your definition, because I think we can make a super definition.
And everyone can kind of relate in their own process of motivation as well, which is something that probably should be talked about more. Kind of discussed.
Yeah. I also think this is going into our next topic. I think athletes are found to be more like motivated technically, and I think this has to do with competitiveness levels, because I think competitiveness, I don't know why I couldn't
say that.
Competitiveness is a form of motivation, but I know I came up with this today and I was like, wow. I think there's good competition and bad competition. So good competition is like striving to be your best self, striving to be better yourself. And then bad competition is like, I wrote stomping.
Yeah.
Or
like
bringing
elephants.
other people down, being the only.
That's just what I was thinking of. You know, big fat elephants. You don't want to be a big fat elephant stomping on your competition. So.
Bad competition is stomping or bringing other people down, being the only way you can grow, which is not even growing. That's just like staying the same, but other people are being down. I think maybe I should come up with examples. So like good competition would be like, you know, someone has a better shot than me and like they're scoring more goals. Then I work by myself and like shoot every day, you know, and then I overpass them. And then bad competition would literally be like gossiping almost. And like if you have a teammate, gossiping to them, saying like, oh, this person's talking about you, putting them in a bad mood, and then like they do horribly in practice and then you look better.
Or even talking about like how they performed at a practice and saying like, oh, I noticed this girl did this, but did you see this? Or something like that, and saying
being a germ.
Being a germ. Very important topic there.
Yeah.
But I just think that that's a huge part of it too, because you're kind of undermining their positives. And we talked about in a meeting that we had the word but, and by kind of saying something that they did good and then saying but they did this terribly, all they're going to hear is the bad thing. And then that, for me personally, that would get in my head and I'd be thinking about my shot at practice. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about with the bad competition.
That's like bad competition. Like no one's, like you're not helping anyone.
It's almost like playing dirty in the competition of the
it's almost like cheating.
Yeah. You're not even letting your own self grow and become better. It's just,
not even motivation because it's like you're not growing. You're staying the same. Everyone else around you is like hurt.
If anything, you're declining as well because you're hurting yourself internally and
you're noticing
in your
that
development.
Works.
Yes, because you're going to start relying on this and just become not as well-rounded of a person that you could have been if you would have done the good competition rather than the bad.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, really good topic. I feel like that's a really good way to start. And also, when we're talking about athletes, I think that's why you hear, and it's so cliche, but like it's true that in the workforce, people want athletes because they have that secret factor of motivation. And I think that we should, as athletes, we should rely on that more because the adversity that you talked about that encompasses this motivation, I think, truly impacts the development and work ethic that all goes into what motivation is. And I think in the workplace and going forward, understanding what your motivation is and how to play that as a high card rather than a low card, I think is super important and something that athletes already have a step up on. So why not capitalize on that and understand that for yourself and others?
I was going to say, I feel like motivation is, in a way, a mindset. Like, I think you said that. And I always wondered why people would always tell me to put, like, oh, you're a college athlete, put that on your resume. And I was like, that doesn't really have anything to do with it.
It's just my silly sport I play.
But it does have something to do with your character because it's like, it's almost as if you found yourself more. I don't even want to say that because, like, that's like,
it's
you know, not college athlete would be like, what the heck? But it is. It's like you found what drives you almost. And it's like an outlet.
Well, and I think that going through the adversity that you talked about to reach your best self in your sport shows you how to overcome that and become your best self in everything else. And by doing that, you do want to overpass. You need to have the good competition, but by understanding your own internal motivation rather than relying on the bad competition, I think that in the workforce and even in relationships, like my best friends are all athletes.
Yeah,
and that's
seriously.
I think there's a reason for that because all like-minded, and I think that we all have the similar motivations and experiences that kind of connect us and make us who we are, and I think that honestly sets us up so well for the future too.
I agree. The next thing that I have is like increasing motivation. So like this is for all the listeners out there. We're going to tell you some ways how to increase your motivation. So the first one I have is set realistic goals because I know everyone's like dream big, set these big goals, but in all honesty that makes me feel like bad about myself if I don't achieve a goal.
Yeah, it can almost decrease motivation. Like I think the college process that we kind of talked about earlier is a really good example of this because people are, take me for example, I had huge dreams of getting to a huge school and then, I'm not going to lie, like it was a little bit like disheartening to think I'd be going to a smaller school, but here I am and I'm happy, but at the same time, like that was a motivator deflator. If I'm being honest, because it was like I had these huge almost unattainable goals that I was trying to use as motivation, but it didn't work out very well. And I think that that's a really good example of that is knowing and being self-aware in your motivation.
Yeah, I would say mine's probably not a very good example compared to that. But mine would just be like, I want to be TikTok famous.
Sure. They're all valued goals.
Yeah, so I want to be TikTok famous, and then like, the step up from that would be I want to be rich. Okay, so I'm just working one step at a time. It's not saying that you can't achieve these goals, like still hoping on being rich. But it's like one step at a time so that like when you check off a goal that you achieve, you're like, yes. Like that keeps you motivated.
Yes.
By setting those realistic goals and like smaller, I guess.
And the
steps.
mini like steps to reach the bigger goals. And, use those SMART goals. Smart, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Yes.
Yeah, those are, don't worry. It's locked in there. Whoever taught me it, I don't even know. Teachers, coaches, thank you.
Nice.
But it's smart. And I think it's, again, cliche, but the cliches, honestly, are what we should be living life. Like, cliches are so
I agree.
great.
And it's not even like, it's not a difference between short-term goals and long-term goals. Like, they could both be it could be a long-term goal still, but it has to be realistic. Like, I'm not going to marry a prince, okay? Yeah. Like,
who knows?
maybe I can,
Georgia
and
Greece
will
find you one.
I can meet a prince for, Georgia, please find me a prince.
Heard it here first. Peyton is marrying a prince.
It's going to bite me in the butt because I'm going to be talking about this podcast, and then someone's going to show it to my husband, who's a prince. So he'll be like, what the heck?
Yeah. You talked it into existence.
Yeah.
But this is your motivation right here.
Yeah, this is me setting a realistic goal.
Just kidding. This is a bad example.
Yeah, bad example. Okay. The next step is looking back at your progress.
Like reflection?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, in my, coaching class that I'm taking, because I'm minoring in coaching, this was a big one. It's looking back at your progress, like even if it's at the end of the week. It's like looking back at little things that you achieved. Even, waking up in the morning, making your bed. That's a progress that you made. Washing your dishes after you use them. Progress. Sport world would just be like going to all the practices, giving it your all. That's progress. You got better that day. So
we even have like monitors that we can track, like that we did, and we feel like we've accomplished what we've accomplished. We have like the stats that you can look at, which don't get into stats, but like that is a way to kind of see.
Yeah, don't get into stats.
Don't need to like heavy rely on that, but it is a way to know that like I was there, I was present in that moment, and I accomplished that. And even like to-do lists, I think that like mental checklists as well as like physical checklists help a lot. Like even when I'm getting ready for a game, that's progress. I'm gonna set myself up for success by looking back at folding. I always fold my clothes that I wear here and put them in my locker. So by doing that and having my cleats on and having my shoes tied, everything, I think those are almost mini goals that you set yourself.
I was going to say it's like mini goals.
And then you're reaching that big goal of performing well in the game that day or getting an A on your test even, like doing small things to set yourself up for success. And those are all mini goals and part of your motivation, I feel like.
Yeah, so whoever's listening to this, I want you guys to rewind this podcast episode back to when Anna was doing that whole spiel and tell me when she said anyone else's name or included anyone else into that routine. She didn't, because motivation is just yourself. Like whenever you're motivated, you should only be focusing on yourself. Like even your own stats, you're not comparing them to other people. You're looking back at what you did the previous week and like just trying to get better by yourself. And that's like perfect example of good competition, good motivation.
I honestly thought you were going to go with that and be like, yeah, she does not talk about anyone else but herself. And I was like, oh, sorry, guys. I'll just never talk again.
No, motivation is selfish. And, like, I wish what's another term to describe selfish, but, like, positive? I think selfish has, like, a negative, feeling.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that also is what makes it so unique of a topic because it is such a negative and positive thing because it's a hard process to understand and be able to motivate yourself and learn how to motivate yourself. So I don't know a word right now, but if you guys think of any, you can add that into your definition of motivation.
Maybe like self-assured?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know.
I have no idea.
That's like a synonym to motivation almost.
Yeah. I think if you guys can come up with one to put in your definition, that would be great because there's definitely or a different way to rephrase it so it's not selfish and people feel more comfortable also saying what motivation is because it is selfish, but again with a negative connotation around it, it's so negatively perceived that they don't want to say it. So by having a different way to say it,
Yeah.
I think would be super helpful.
It's like bad aura
Yeah.
on that word.
Yeah.
But okay, so this next one ties in with kind of it. It's surrounding yourself with people who have your best interest in mind. So I feel like we didn't talk about this, but surrounding yourself with like a friend group, but not just because like to have people to hang out with.
Yeah.
Like that's not why you're surrounding yourself with friends.
No.
You're surrounding yourself with friends to like keep you grounded almost. Like you know, sometimes I get lost in my thoughts and like I just go over to Anna's room and talk to her, talk to my roommate Allison, talk to Georgia, you know, we talk their ear off because we just want people, like they have our best interest. They're going to say the right things to us. But I know some people get like trapped, like old friendships I've gotten like almost trapped a little bit where I was like, what are we even doing? Like, what's my favorite color? Like, and I know,
who am I?
Yeah.
You lose yourself in the friendship.
Yes, exactly. Because it's always like we're robots.
And you become someone that you don't want to be anymore, but it's to fit their friendship and fit who they are. So first of all, you're not motivating yourself anymore.
No.
You're motivated by fitting into be someone that they want to be friends with. So that is not something that is healthy.
No, seriously, like when I used to work out with those people, I'd be like, are you just ready to leave? It's been 10 minutes, like, are you ready to leave? And then like here, you know, I see other people pushing themselves to the limit, and it's not even like a competitive way.
Yeah.
It's more like, shoot, like we practice every day together. I could probably do that too. Like I could probably.
That's been happening so much this year too in lift, and like shout out Georgia.
Lifting.
My bench has gotten so much better, and I think it's because of her and Lily, because I just am so motivated to better myself, but they help me with that so much, and I think that goes by surrounding yourself with the people that you know that do have your best interests at heart, and no one cares what anyone else is doing.
I was going to say, it's not like I'm embarrassed to fail.
Me
like
neither.
I've failed many times on a bench. Like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die one time.
I thought my nose was going to break. It was like sitting right here. I'm like, I know it's pointy, but please, you guys, I can't fit it. I'm just saying, please.
Yeah,
like, I'm supposed to bench here, like down here, but it's happened before because I've just been like shaking.
Yeah, we're just like trying so hard, but it's definitely who you surround yourself with. But I do think that has to do with finding yourself first. So like I know high school is like an awkward stage. You're not really exposed to any of the world. I wouldn't even say we're really that exposed here. But
I think it's more though than like
I found what I like and like what I don't like.
I agree.
I still don't like running. Still
don't like mustard. Hasn't changed.
I didn't know you didn't like mustard.
New things.
Wow.
New things.
You know what? Yeah, I've never seen you eat mustard.
Peyton will help me maybe like mustard one day.
That's
I have with my best interest at heart.
Yeah, you need to like mustard.
I'm just kidding.
Also, I was going to say, I've seen like a lot of things about, I saw like this TikTok trend going around. It was like, we're best friends, but I don't know her favorite color. I think that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I also agree with that. Like,
what do you mean you don't know her favorite color?
Yeah.
They're lying. Like, they're not best friends. I'm sorry,
because
bye.
That's also like not to be like that, but it is definitely like just the pick me, like, we have a different kind of friendship, but we don't need to be real friends. But I'm like, let's tell you this. We used to send each other TikToks. Me, Peyton, Georgia, and Allison, this is our sweet group. We used to send each other TikToks, and they'd be the ones where you have numbers, and you'd have to pick which one of them they'd suit. So, like, let's say there was, like, dark purple flowers over here, and, like, pretty tulips here, and then, like, white baby's breath here, and then, like, sunflowers here. Would be like, oh, this one's Georgia, this one's Allison, this one's Peyton, and this one's Anna. And we would sit for hours.
We would agree, too.
Yes.
Like, until we agreed on what everyone was.
And
that's fun. We should do that again.
Yeah. I recommend for any group of friends. It's awesome experience.
But also, so back to, like, the color thing. I just feel like you don't really know. Like, it's almost like a lie. Like, I'm almost concerned if the original person knows what their own favorite color is.
Yeah.
Like,
because do they know who they are in the friendship as well? Like, how are you getting any better together if you don't even know yourself?
Yeah, like what do you bond? What do you talk about? Like, it's just so. Do you know my favorite color?
Green.
Yeah, yours purple.
Yep. So, we're real friends.
Imagine we did.
Imagine I was like, it's actually yellow, but it's fine. That was a risky guess. That was a risky question. We were about to be fake friends and we didn't know.
knew you knew my favorite color,
Yeah.
so I was like,
Oh, I know. We were talking about like weddings the other day, and I was like, I would do green, but Peyton's gonna do green, so I was like, I can't do it.
yeah, you still can. I still have to find the candidate that's gonna be in my wedding, marrying me. So
Yeah. It's okay. We're motivation. The prince.
I'm motivated to. Yeah, the prince. I forgot. The next thing I have is finding hobbies. So this is like kind of what we were already talking about. Funny story. Anna and I actually have a book club just by ourselves. We just finished the ACOTAR series.
Yes.
Well, you're still on
I'm still on the last book because she reads it first because she has the books. I go to the library.
My mom has them. She's a big reader.
Shout out Susan.
Shout out Susan. So yeah. Anyway, finding our hobbies. So this this ties with surrounding yourself with people who have your best interest in mind. My roommate does not read. However, she will always sit there and listen to me talk about my book, and she's just like, oh, she can't really say it. She doesn't know these people, and she's like, what a weird name.
Yeah.
I told her today, so like the book series I'm reading, it's gonna turn into a show, and I was like, you can watch this show, and then we can bond over. She was like, yeah, I don't really think I'm interested. I was like, okay.
She also doesn't like watching things. She falls asleep.
Yeah.
She's there for you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but finding hobbies, it's almost like finding an outlet for your thoughts, almost.
And that's honestly why we started this podcast. I would say
this is a hobby, yeah.
Last season is when we came up with this during the fall, and it was just we were just mentally, there was something off. Like,
there was something off, and I don't know if it was like we were drained or whatever was happening, but
it was something off.
We're in this rut, and I don't know. It happens to me kind of around that time every year, and we just we needed to find hobbies, so we created a vision board for this podcast, and
it took us a while to get started.
That's when I started reading again. That's where those hobbies almost bring you out of the rut, which is causing motivation.
And then did you feel more motivated at soccer and more and more motivated going through life? I think motivation is so important.
I agree. Yeah. And then the next thing is focusing on yourself. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. I even wrote, actually, you said it, motivation is selfish, which you said earlier, so that's funny. I have it written down. I feel like focusing on yourself doesn't mean blocking everyone out.
I agree.
Because obviously, I think that's isolating yourself, and that's not good. You should never do that.
And you need support in your growth and in your own process of yourself.
That's what I'm saying. When we were in our rut, we
brought
each other out. Our whole friend group, we helped each other, hung out all the time, bonded over things, and that helped us stay motivated to do what we love to do. Because some things happen. You get sad sometimes.
But you can get through that through motivation and through the support that you have of those that are there to help you discover yourself and help you know that they're there and you can motivate yourself and do it.
Yeah. Motivation is a synonym to mindset is what I wrote down because I do think they go hand in hand. If you don't have a good mindset, you're not going to be motivated. If you're not motivated, your mindset is probably not very good.
No.
While the journey or process changes, how do your goals and expectations stay the same? Which I feel like that is something that people don't really think about. It's not you. You should not be changing.
Yeah.
Everything around you can change, and that's fine, but it's how you adapt to that. And how you, that's again focusing on yourself because you know who you are and you know what you want. So
and you have the confidence that you understand yourself and what's going to keep you going even with all those changes that are happening.
I agree, and I was thinking about this. I think a good example would be transferring because neither of us have transferred, but so I can't really speak that much on it. But while your process is changing, you're going to a new school, but you're doing it to better yourself because you notice that your mindset is not good, your motivation is lacking, and your journey changes, but your goals are the same. You still are playing the same sport. I would say your expectations probably stay the same. It's you just want to play the sport.
You just want to play.
Yeah, and you just want to get better.
Yeah, and find your best self in that process.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I agree. And staying confident in that process too, I think is a super key part of motivation is staying confident and just kind of sure of who you are in that process. And that can kind of go with anything in life too, the changes that are happening, even moving to a new new location.
New town.
If you're moving to a new town, have no friends there, but you're picking up this new job that you know, you have the same goals. You want to succeed in the job. You want to make friends. You're making friends and connections throughout your whole life. Something that you want to stay confident in. And I think that's kind of a direct correlation into the real life compared to sports, is just moving or just any types of changes like that.
I agree.
But, yeah.
So now I wanted to ask you what drives you to succeed. So, like, what makes you motivated?
I have my notes as well, don't worry.
Yeah.
But
we'll go through mine and then yours. Don't worry.
But honestly, something that motivates me is honestly everything that the sport, this is kind of soccer specific, but everything that this sport has given me is kind of what motivates me, because friendships, experiences, finding myself in the sport and outside of the sport, I think it kind of gave me a safe space to do all of that discovery. And honestly, I'm so thankful for soccer for that. And there's someone in the bathroom. So that's awkward. No one's supposed to be here. Again, it's like 9 p.m.
Why does this always happen?
We're going to have to find a new location.
Imagine they start knocking. I'm not answering.
Dang. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, try to get in. What's the password?
I was about to say it. I won't. Sorry, guys. No access to the LU women's soccer locker room. Dave would probably kill me if I said that out loud.
Don't worry. I would save you. I would cut it out.
All right. Well, anyways, and I honestly think that I said that everything that soccer has given me, at first I felt like it was connecting to others and it wasn't very focused on me, but now that I'm kind of looking into what I wrote, and as we were talking, I was thinking about it, and I think that is selfish because it's what it's given me. It doesn't, I don't really think about how I have impacted others throughout the journey. I think that I'm extremely grateful for what it's given me, and I just think that I owe it to myself and my younger self through all those experiences to be able to push through and keep getting better, because I know that there's still so much more to come, and that's kind of what's motivating me, because I have had the greatest experience through the sport, and I think that going forward and being thankful for that, but also understanding that there's still so much more to come is a super huge part of that. And I think that's kind of what is my main motivator to reach my best self, because at the end of the day, eventually we're going to stop playing soccer, but I also think that being aware of that whole experience and using how I've learned to motivate me and keep me going is something that I can apply in everything too.
And you know, like the term where everyone's just like, you know, soccer's only a small portion of your life. It's not. Like, I'm going to be reminiscing and remembering my journey and my soccer playing for the rest of my life.
Well, and I'm coaching right now these little girls, and it is just so awesome. And I want to keep coaching. That's something I want to keep doing.
And it's not a small part of your life. Like, that's who you...
No. My best friends, we've met through soccer.
Yeah, who I was characterized as for about, you know, 15 years.
When people ask anything fun you do, I'm like, oh, I play soccer. Anything else?
Don't even get me started when they say fun facts and you have to introduce yourself. I play soccer. And it's like
I'm on the women's soccer team here.
2 room of soccer players, and they're like, okay.
Nice. Like that game we play, I have to come up with some random facts. I'm like,
I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm allergic to avocados.
I think you have some good ones.
Yeah, but definitely every time it's like
soccer.
Icebreaker, I'm just like, oh yeah, I play soccer.
We were in like a class, it was like me, you, Georgia, and we, all 3 of us said our fun fact is we played soccer back to back to back.
And it was like, oh, I also play soccer. And I was last. So I was like, I also play soccer. And had to like sit there.
Because it's almost like we were like bragging.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we play soccer.
Yeah. And the click. And that's just so funny because the 3 of us just sit there and we're just like, rocks.
We motivate each other to learn
yes,
more
we
about
motivate
the
each
rocks.
other through this class.
Okay, so I would say that's funny because that's the exact same thing that I was thinking.
So your turn.
What drives me to succeed would just be like, I do a lot of reminisce or like looking back on my past progress and like my progress and stuff. And so I think that I always just look back at where I was before. Like if I think I didn't do very well, or if I don't think I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Then I just think I'm like, well, I used to never be able to kick the ball with my left foot. And
that's
look
a really
at me
good
now.
perspective.
Yeah, and people are like, you know, they ask me if I'm left-footed. I'm like, no, I just can kick the ball now. Because
it's true. Stellar left foot.
I was just fishing for a compliment.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll give it to you.
So then, like, I think that's what motivates me almost, is when people, I don't even want to say it's because people are noticing that I'm getting better, because it's just when people notice, then I start to notice. It's almost like I don't notice first.
Yeah.
Like, I don't notice I'm getting better until, like, other people are noticing that I'm
So do you look at the
better.
film, and you can, like, do you look at film a lot and kind of, like, look back? And then do you notice, or do you wait and see, like, what other people say?
I would feel like I wait and see. Like, if my parents were to say something, I mean, they don't really, I'd say my parents don't really understand soccer, obviously, as good as me, but, you know, like, even if they're noticing, I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like, I've been working on that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a pat on the back.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think that also will help you stem your motivation larger, because once you hear one thing, you can kind of, like, steamroll through that and find other things that you're like, oh, I did this well today too, and oh, I did this well, and that self-reflection that you've talked about. And then that motivates you to keep going, because you know that it's going to keep growing and keep getting better, which, I don't know, that's just so exciting. Like, I'm definitely scared of the unknown, but knowing that you've started here, come so far, and yet you still have so much more to go is just, like, so exciting, and that is so motivational in itself, I feel like.
That's what I was going to say, too, when you're coaching the younger girls. I think about that, too, because you're watching these girls, like, start their love for something that you've been so passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I mean, obviously, we're not competing against 8-year-olds, or what age are they?
Just, I feel like 8 to 12.
Yeah, 8 to 12-year-olds. We're not competing with them, but it's like we're remembering one time we were them, and now look where we are now. Like, it's
and like
hearing process. It's a journey.
Yes, and hearing them, like, look up to you and be like, oh, I want to be like you guys, and it's just like, it almost touches your heartstring. Yes,
the ball girls, and like they think we're so cool. I'm like,
well, then I hope that they, like, understand this kind of stuff, and it helps them get through. And being able to coach girls like that, I hope that they can understand and learn from my process. When they ask me questions about college and my own club experience, I love to share, because I think that's a huge part of being able to be motivated.
Yes, I agree. And it's also like when they're younger, it's not that you are easily motivated, it's more like your brain's not as developed. You don't think of, like, the worst happening, you know what I mean? But
you're
like,
just there to have a good time.
Yeah, but you're still the same person when you're older, so it's like, just find those things that keep you motivated and help motivate you. I mean, they're probably the same things from when you were little. I always loved to read, and it's like, I always loved talking to people and my friends. I would talk to my phone, so it's basically like I had a fake podcast.
Yeah, same. All my TikTok review videos, it all tracks.
No, I never posted them, but you know.
Well, you can check out AJ Kicker 20 for my videos.
It's still up.
All of them, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Every single talking video I have. The first time I came here, my roommate and I made, like, Maddie Olsen, I tried to literally, like, the first day we were here, we got our gear, and I was like, okay, I want to make this video. And then we sat there and did our gear haul. I do not know her. Like, it was just so, so I have no shame. And I
That's
think
crazy.
I
We're
was
putting
like
that
that
in
when
the
I was
description.
younger.
We're going to tag you in this video, that account.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on my next page, so
All right.
you only have one page, so there's no
It's
awkward.
okay. I'm a free thoughter, so.
I'm not.
Yeah, we're a little different. We were talking about this.
I don't know how I did so good in the first podcast, because I was literally like, I had no idea what was going to come out of my mouth next.
Well, we were saying even the outline that we made for that Peyton's was like full sentences, and you go down to my part and it's like soccer 3, kickers Galaxy, and I don't know. I think I do worse when I overthink. I'd rather kind of just get the notes down, and then even in my speech class, I'd rather just.
That's why this is so good, though, because like we're so different. We're different but the same, and we connect on the same level. But like, you know, I'm motivated to be like you in that way, because
I'm motivated to be like you, more organized. Like when she showed me her paper, I was like, all right, I guess I'll write some of my thoughts down. And then I show up with my notebook trying to copy her. This is exactly what happened. Like, it literally.
Yeah, and our notebooks are almost like the same. They're like the same material. I mean, they're totally
From
different
Target?
colors. I don't know. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, from Target. I think you were here when I bought that.
Yeah,
oh no, you bought this for me.
For your birthday?
Yeah, last year.
Oh, I do remember now. I was like,
That you
oh,
fake
nice.
just nodded at me.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Oh, yeah. Maybe Allison picked that one out. But now I remember. I do remember.
That's so funny.
You were here with mine too.
Yeah, I think I was there when you
were at
bought that
Target.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing I have is like, this is what I was thinking of would be fake motivation. So the question is, are you motivated in impressing others? So this would be like your parents, your siblings, your significant others.
Yeah.
Or And if you are, this is not motivation, it's the fear of failing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we want to get into that a little bit more in a different podcast, but I think just surface level, like the fear of failure is something that I personally struggled with a lot when I was like probably like 13 to 16 was probably the worst, where I just like, it was almost like I wasn't motivated by myself. I didn't really care if I got better. I just wanted my parents to think I was doing well. I wanted, my coach to think I was doing really well. And I didn't care. I was like, honestly, I'm feeling burnt out. I don't even want to do this. Like,
I think school, that was for me a lot in high school.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get the A and I was just done. I honestly didn't absorb much, which I kind of regret now. And also, those habits I think carry, and I still notice myself doing them a lot, but I've definitely gotten better. But I agree that the fear of failure is a lot stronger sometimes than the motivation factor internally. And I think that's the scary part of it, and being able to understand yourself.
I was going to say, you need to like separate, like take a step back, separate that, and like kind of, I guess, notice why that's happening. I think I was just putting so much stress on myself. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Like, it's really just like, it's your own journey. Like, even if my mom thinks I played horrible, she's not the one on the field every day putting in the hours. Like, she's just, and nothing against my mom. Like, that's,
but it's part of your support system, and it's an opinion that you care about. And I think that's the part that hinders you, because you do care about what they think. And again, even your mom, like, she's the one that took you to all the soccer. She's the one that's been there through all of that. So hearing her say something like, oh, you didn't look that great today, is something that just totally tears you down motivational wise, because you're like, oh great, I'm starting from scratch again, and she thinks I did terrible. And because you do care, it's hard to overcome. But your own individual growth and your own individual perception, I think, is what you have to understand is so much more important. And in the long run in motivation, I think that's how you're going to keep getting better, and how you're going to keep motivating yourself, by understanding and keeping that separation.
I also think that's like what we talked about earlier with the bad competition or bad competitiveness.
Yeah.
That's being on the other side of it. Like, feeling that way. If someone's like tearing you down, something you work so hard for. So it's almost like your motivation, that's where it diminishes. That's where it's like gone. So finding way, like, that's going to happen. There's, that's what I said, like, how you deal with the external factors that are playing into it is like, that's how you build it back up. That's how you make it stronger. It's like tearing you down. And then I actually wrote here that another definition is like, motivation is failing and then finding the will to try again until you succeed. Because it's like, it's almost like trial and error. And then like trying multiple times until you finally get there. Yeah.
And that's, I think, the beauty of the process that we kind of talked about, looking back and seeing, I tried this, I failed, I kept going. And I think that's super important to recognize and understand going forward, because that is such an important part of motivation and what you learn from the motivation. Because in the end, once you reach your goal, you're going to set another one, and you're going to keep wanting to keep growing.
That's a good point.
I think that is a really cool concept, and not to be scared of that. Like, you're going to fail in motivation, and don't be scared of that. And again, don't be afraid of what people think. And if people start creating bad competition, because I think that's also another factor, teammates doing bad competition, or even people out in the world that are just talking about you, being able to kind of brush that off and not let it impact your own motivation is super important. Because
I agree.
Again, like I said, like, it would probably get in my head if I heard someone being like, dang, Anna absolutely destroyed that ball. I popped the ball the other day. So that's why that came to my head.
I didn't even know that happened, if it makes you feel better.
Yeah, I was just shooting the ball, and it went straight into a spike of our mannequin, and it's now deflated.
The mannequin wasn't really close to the goal. So.
Exactly. So people are going to be saying, Anna actually sucked today. And that's going to get in my head, but I think it's a continuous growth to be able to...
never say that. I'd knock him out.
Thanks, Peyton. This is why we're friends here. Because she knows I would never say anything about that.
She's like, okay.
I'd be like, okay.
I'm like, what did you say? I saw you miss a shot. Oh,
no,
shoot.
That's exactly what she would say.
That's bad competitiveness.
It is. It is,
Don't
but
do that. But unless
also
you're
she's
helping
supporting in my corner.
Yeah.
It's not about her. That one I think is a good example because it's not about you. It's about supporting.
True.
But also I need to grow up and kind of stand up for myself. But I'm getting there. So.
No.
Yeah, Peyton will always.
It's fine. I'll just follow you around all the time.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, I was also going to add on that. It's like, you know the phrase where it's like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like it's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's your goal. Okay,
Yeah.
There's another tunnel.
With a brighter light at the end.
Brighter light at the end. Another tunnel, brighter. You have to, like, almost take the light with you in the tunnel. Like, be the light in the tunnel. Yeah. And that's cringe. I don't care. But, you know, that is how it is.
That's going to be on the new when you look up motivational quotes.
Be
that's
the
what's
light
gonna show
in
up.
the tunnel.
Peyton Hatfield. Be the brighter light heading to the end of the light in the tunnel.
She just changed my quote.
It'll be in the caption.
So I was also going to add to motivation is failing and then succeeding again. So I know we talked about athletes and that point of view, but I also think that this means like anyone, anywhere. So my example I wrote down, it's kind of dumb now that I'm reading it again, but it's like true. It's so like small. So this could literally mean like, cleaning your house. So your motivational factor is the fact your house is dirty. Okay, and then by cleaning, you are finding the willpower to change your current problem and better it. So that's almost like
that's fair.
Failing because you failed at keeping your house clean.
It's true. It's also a struggle that I think every single person listening here can relate to. So I know you all have some dirty houses in there. So don't try and say you're not.
We have ants in our dorm room. So.
Yep. So we're one of them. Yeah. So embrace the ants. Get rid of them.
These girls are dirty.
Yeah. We've tried.
Okay. It's like it's clean. I mopped it.
I had to take my microwave outside and empty it.
It was so gross. Yeah. But you know, it's like normal things like that. Like that's not going to affect you if your house is dirty and you just clean it. Did it really like affect you that much where you're just like, oh, I failed? Like sad.
No.
I feel like that's like almost comparing, you know, you might think things are bigger and it's more of a problem, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And I think that's the reframing piece of it and that mindset that can be carried into everything. Like relating back to sports. Let's use a different sport, for example. Like, let's say basketball. You have a...
I knew you were going to say basketball.
Yeah, sorry. That's just the second option. So we can do a different sport next episode. But, like, even for basketball, let's say you're doing, like, 50% from the free throw line, which is pretty bad. That means you're missing half your shots there.
Sounds pretty good to me. I'd like to do
Okay, we'll drop to 30%, you know. 30% on the free throw line. Okay, regardless.
It's good to do.
Even tomorrow, it's, like... Some may perceive that as you failing, but what do you do tomorrow? You go and work on your free throws because you know and you recognize that you failed, but then being able to go and practice, and then what happens the next game? Free throws improve, and then that's the entire process that kind of goes through, and I feel like, but being able to recognize and not let that small failure, which is when one game, basketball you play like, 40 games? You play a lot. You play every team twice, like, it's crazy, and being able to recognize that and not being scared of that, and then also knowing that the world spins. I think that's a huge part of it, and your house is dirty.
That's a really good thing.
You're going to wake up, house is still going to be dirty until you do something about it, but the world's still spinning, the world's going on, and you're the only one that can change that.
And when you clean the house, are you really thinking about when it was dirty? Like, you're not. You're not even thinking about that anymore. When you're making the free throws... I mean, probably when you're at the free throw line, you're remembering that you've missed before, but it's almost like...
You know you've put in the work and you've earned a better result from that.
If you remember, like, your practice and, like, what, like, how comfortable you are in doing that, how many times you've rehearsed that shot, like, that actually is proven. Fun fact. That is proven that you will do better when you, like...
Yeah.
That's what, almost like recalling what happened.
Yep.
And, like, your own...
And recognizing it, not being scared of it, and... knowing what motivates you and using that to your advantage. And
that was a great example of motivation. Like staying motivated. Like how do you stay motivated when you get that 30%? Like it's almost like
because you know that there's the light at the end of the tunnel that's better, and you know that you can go through that process and find. But again, it's all about you, and it'll impact your team because you're losing points. But at the end of the day, in 2 days, no one's gonna look back and be like, wow, you were at 30%.
And if they do, bad.
Germ.
That's a germ.
Germ.
I almost said germ at the same time. Dude, that was funny. That was funny. Germ.
We don't like germs here.
No.
We only want good white and red blood cells to fight those germs.
I did not know where that was going.
You were like,
okay.
might have to cut this one out. Yeah. Not anymore, don't worry. It was a good comment.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
That's all I have, so.
Yeah. We kind of took this in a good route, I think. We kind of went through Peyton's notes, and then I kind of talked through it, and basically everything I had we kind of touched on. And I think one of my main points that was kind of interesting to me to think about was the self-motivation versus peer motivation. And I think we talked about that a lot, but also like developing that motivation in life. Mm-hmm. When do you start to understand that it's all about you and you need to understand how to motivate yourself? Like right now, my 10-year-old sister, my mom will say, all right, Kenna, if you work really hard today, you're getting a milkshake. She'll be like, oh, okay, I'll probably work really hard. But when do you start understanding that you're not going to get ice cream once you work hard? Like,
I mean, I still get myself ice cream when I'm
so do I, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's not the motivator for me. Like, when do you understand that there's bigger things that are contributing to you wanting to do well and wanting to get better? And I honestly don't know. I think it's different for everyone when they're going to be able to better understand how to motivate themselves. But I think the transition from being motivated by your parents and them signing you up and them saying, all right, you're going to soccer today, then you're going to gymnastics tomorrow, and then the transition from you have to take yourself to this, or it's your choice if you're going to this practice or not. And if you want to get better, you need to keep going. But I think it's a really interesting transition because slowly you become more independent and slowly you become to make these choices that impact how you're motivated and how you process that motivation and the result of your motivation as well. And I think that that's a really interesting thing to think about too.
I agree. I feel like I was almost forced into motivation because my parents would be like, no, you can't have a sleepover at your friends. You have a soccer game tomorrow. Like, you can't. Yeah. Which, I was mad at the time. And it should be something that I figure out by myself. But, I was pushed to figure it. Now I just do it by myself. Exactly. I'm like, no, I'm not going to that. I have soccer tomorrow. Like, I'm not doing that. I actually am going to shout out my younger sister, Finley. I would say, first off, she's youngest child. Yeah. She is being raised by different parents, than I did.
So true.
They are totally, completely different now. I'm like, you would never let me do that.
That's how your older sister feels. She's like...
we talk about it all the time. But she, she wanted to try out for all these different things. Cheerleading, whatever. My parents never pushed it on her once. Like, she wanted to do this.
That's awesome.
And I think, like, it's awesome seeing how now she plays soccer and she's really into it. She's a little bit older, like, being into soccer now. She's 13. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people start a lot younger. Yeah. But she's still a child. She's going to be like, I want to go to my friend's house. But I will say, like, no one's really, like, they're not pushing her as hard as they pushed me. And she's just doing it by herself. And, she's not.
I wonder also the peer motivation part of that. She probably watched you. And you're, like, as
I never
you were
thought
taught,
she was watching me, too. So that's awesome.
I just think that probably impacted her more. And sisters, like, never say that they want to be like their older sister, but...
Finley would never say that. If you're watching this, Finley, her friend watched this last time.
Aww. Love you all.
Finley didn't.
Finley, you better be on this one. I expect a comment with your motivation definition down below.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone go like Finley's as well, so that she gets all the attention as well. But I think that is really interesting to think about. Yeah. Like, she probably saw you and was like, oh, she's awesome. Like, and that's the standard, and she kind of set it for herself, which is really cool.
Yeah, like, she wants to do that now. It's not even like she has to do it because she didn't start doing it so young. She's like, oh, yeah, I want to try this now. And, like, now I think she's on 3 soccer teams right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is
she loves it.
Yeah, like, and she loves it. And she's like, I've never heard her complain about going to practice. I would never complain to, like, someone of higher ups, but to my parents, I would always complain and be like, I'm so tired, I never heard her complain.
As one would do.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I guess I am in college right now, so my mom could be watching this and she's like, oh, you don't even know. But I'm not really around as much anymore, so I guess, like, that could still be happening. Yeah. But yeah, it's almost like her own process started earlier than, like, mine did. Yeah. And I think that's awesome. She's just developed more. Yeah. So that's, like, another example of how everyone is
going to probably translate further moving forward when she gets older, gets different responsibilities and motivations that are going to tempt her, and, like, even the adversity that's faced, different, but by her kind of understanding and developing into herself and being confident in that journey and her own motivation, I think is going to really benefit her going forward. So that's really cool that you can like see that. I think
it's like she's a totally different person than last year.
Yeah.
And like literally,
yeah,
she must have found something that she
that's like motivated.
Her.
Yeah. Honestly, that happened with McKenna too. She still needs the milkshake once in a while. But besides that, I think she's honestly like started to flip that switch, and I think it's because she's seen like myself, Peyton.
You've had a lot of sisters
is coming here. Yeah. Bit play soccer. Tori, she's going off to college soon. Like, we're all kind of getting older, and she's kind of realizing, like, I better start doing something about this. Like, and I hope that it continues to grow, but she's also only 10. So, like, I still think she's in an age where parents are really important. Like, and I honestly think that parents have a huge part, like you said, into you, like, forcing you to do that because it set a standard and set an expectation that, no, you're not going to go to a sleepover tonight because you have a game tomorrow morning. Like,
that's an expectation, yeah.
And I think that kind of helps develop what motivates you. And honestly, I think that by parents forcing you to do all that, it also makes you look back and be so much more thankful and grateful. And the process of developing that motivation, you understand a lot more because of what your parents made you do. You look back and are like, oh, wow, I'm so glad that I was forced to do that because now I'm motivated to continue that process forward.
And my older sister too, I mean, she's gonna kill me if I don't shout her out, so I have to. I think hers is from a different perspective because hers is not an athletic perspective. She doesn't play sports, but she's like, you know,
she's a girl boss.
She's a girl boss. She's like an accounting major, you know, she's graduating in May. She's going back to get her master's. She's gonna graduate college with 2 degrees by the time I graduate with 1. Yeah. Before I graduate with 1, actually, I think. And, you know, it's because my parents did push her when in sports when she did play, and then also...
But again, she played the sports and she has the skills from playing those sports.
Fun fact, she's actually going to SIUE almost on a full ride just because she's earned all that scholarships.
Which is awesome.
She was like...
the competitiveness, too.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I think, you know, being an older sibling, I mean, you're an older sister... or you're the oldest, she didn't really have, like, Finley's looking up to both of us. She didn't really have that, but she's, like, paving her own way, and it's, like, so admirable, so.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's a different process, and I think that different ages and different ways of growing up are going to have different motivations as well. Like, I think when you're younger, too, you do look up, and you're like, I know it isn't as selfish, I think. I think it's more outward motivation because you're going to see and look at the people that are older and be like, oh, I want to be like them. And then as you get older and kind of pave your own path, then that's when the motivation comes in. Like, I think Peyton and Bit, my sisters, they've created their own paths. And I think they have their own motivations, which hopefully they comment down below. But
I saw your sister comment on one of our TikToks.
Yeah. Precious. Thanks, guys. I texted all of them and we're like,
you better comment.
Yeah, and I was like, every time they would, I'd be like, you're the best. No, you're the best. I have 4 of them, so it kept going, and then I have my mom, too, so, like...
We should cut this out so they don't know that you do that.
No shame. You're the best. No, it was in our group chat.
Oh,
they all got the same text.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't worry. Open book right here. But, so honestly, that was one topic that I kind of thought was super interesting, and we kind of talked about, like, failures and stuff, but another one that I kind of had thought about was how you rebound from those setbacks. And one thing that I have said multiple times, I'm so grateful for the friendships that I had and that were on my team, but I think people switching teams so often, I think that has a big hindsight in motivation, because if your friends are gone, those are the ones that you are so thankful for and ones that support you in your motivation journey. If they leave, how do you overcome that too? And I think that's when you can kind of look back into kind of what you talked about, find yourself, find hobbies and interests that you can rely on yourself, because at the end of the day, you have, like, we'll be best friends, and, like, I have all my friends outside of here that I'll be hopefully friends with for the rest of my life, but at the end of the day, you're the one in your head, and you're the only one that you sees who you are on the inside. Yeah. And I think that being able to not rely on setbacks like that and be aware of them, be thankful for them that they are there, but also be able to not solely focus on that and focus on yourself.
It's almost like you shouldn't rely on someone. Like, the goal is not to be relying on someone so much, even if it's like a friend or a significant other, parent, family member. you should just like coexist with them. Enjoy their presence almost, not rely on them and lean on them for everything.
Yeah, and let them support you on their own time rather than like one day Peyton doesn't give me a high five after I do a shot. I'm like, what the heck? Like, you hate me now, jeez.
She was hating me.
That's probably what I'd say. And then I've stopped motivating myself because I've relied on your motivation to push me through the challenges when that's, as we've discussed multiple times today, that's not the point of what motivation is. And everyone kind of needs to understand that, I think. And understanding that will help you conquer the setbacks that happen, whether it be injury, whether it be team changes, whether it be you got an F on a test. But from that, I think that you can grow and become such a better person into life, and lifelong skills will happen from that, being able to overcome all of those adversities and understanding what can push you to become the best version of yourself as well as for others. Because I do think that's part of it. Because you want to be someone that people want to support. Because you do need that, but it shouldn't be the sole focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think our discussion kind of went full circle and was really good.
That
like,
was really
between
good.
each other and
I didn't think
what
we
we
would
wrote.
like be able to talk this long about something, but I just think we're so passionate about this topic.
Everything we learn, we want to kind of discuss and share with you guys. And I think that I don't know. I think we're having a good time doing it, and it's been really enjoyable. So, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in on episode number 2. Hope you guys had a good time listening.
See you guys next week.
Bye.